So let's explore what today's clip is about. Exploring love and fear. Exploring love and fear as two states of being.
And we invite you to hold an open mind when listening, to lay aside your already known truths.
And we invite you to hold an open heart, to meet yourself with love and compassion, and meeting what you hear, and reactions that may be awakened as you listen with love and compassion.
And we invite you to hold an open will, to lay aside the fear of the unknown. So welcome to this inward exploration of love and fear.
If we would simplify things, you may say that there are only two states of being. Being in a state of love or being in a state of fear. Or if we would frame it as being in the presence of love or being in the absence of love. And when sensing into these first lines, to be in the presence of love, what does that mean to you?
When saying being in the presence of love, many think of being surrounded with people who love you, to be in a loving environment. And that is not insignificant,
No.
right? But in this clip, we would like to shift our focus, to turn your awareness toward yourself, inward, and exploring your own state of being, exploring your own presence and absence of love, and exploring when you meet the world from a state of love and when you meet the world from a state of fear.
What if, when we experience the world as frightening, the reason is that we view the world through eyes of fear? What if, when we experience the world as loving, the reason is that we view the world through eyes of love? Where do we start?
Where do we start?
Or maybe we have started.
Yes.
Pick one.
Pick a card. Starting with self-love. Yeah.
Self-love.
Self-love.
What does that speak to you?
Yeah, where else to start? If we love ourselves, we can also love others.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the hardest part with love, to actually love yourself. Truly, deeply.
Yeah.
Every aspect of who you are.
Yeah, well, that is impossible, isn't it? To love every aspect of who I am. Are you crazy?
I'm making it too hard.
Yeah, that's too hard.
Yeah.
Let's take it down if you're not.
Okay, you try.
But that might be a reaction. That sometimes is a reaction from my inner voices.
Yeah.
I can't love this. I don't want this.
Yeah.
And the inner voices, for me, is one way to really, decipher. Am I in an inner dialogue of love or fear? And these inner voices telling me that, whoa, you're crazy. I can't love myself fully. For me, those come from a state of fear.
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful entry point.
Yeah. You're talking about inner voices.
Yeah.
How would you describe those inner voices?
Yeah.
What are they?
Yeah. like the reaction to you saying that might be the hardest part, to love all of who you are. But that's impossible. Boom. That's an inner voice for me. Just being expressed as it is. The model I hold for my own inner voices, we work with human psychology and adult stage psychology. Figures psychological patterns or figures, as we call them, that every human being share. That for me is one way to access my own different inner voices. The voices of fear, of my safety, fear of being allowed to be me fully. The voices of fear for being excluded, for not being a part of. The voices of fear for not knowing, not having the answers, for not delivering, for not performing, for not being enough. That model is helpful for me. But any model would do. Models are just lenses to view reality through.
Yeah. It might be helpful when start listening to your inner dialogue.
Yeah.
What are you saying to yourself?
Yeah.
Maybe that you're even not aware of the message that keeps running through your mind.
That can be hard, right?
That can be really hard.
What are you saying to yourself?
Yeah.
Like we are, what do you say? Not even aware of our inner voices.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a word, but I don't find it.
Yeah. And for me, that inner dialogue, if I have a lot of critical voices, critical messages in my inner dialogue, that really keeps me from loving myself.
Yeah.
And that really reinforces the state of fear that I am not good enough as I am.
It's so clear when either you or I come from a state of fear when we meet.
Yeah.
Like if it was last week, perhaps, from the state of fear. I'm not good enough. And this time it was you. And we simply don't connect because you view the world through eyes of fear.
Yeah.
And in a dialogue we had, almost as if I felt purposely misunderstood all the time. Because when I say something, you hear that from the state of fear. And it comes out in one way and comes in your mind in a fearful way.
Yeah, through the lens of fear.
Through
like
the
a
lens of
fear.
exactly.
Yeah, this
So
is what
even,
I receive
yeah,
in fear.
Yeah. So even the loving things can be interpreted as critique or harshness. And when we resolve that, when we met those fears,
yeah, exactly.
when we dared to face what's going on here, things shift.
Yeah, and in that case, really allowing the fear to be, allowing my fear to just be, to take space and to explore it, even naming it. What is this all about? Then it transforms, it heals.
One helpful metaphor, I believe, viewing our inner voices, our inner figures, or even our inner voices of fear as individuals of their own, like small kids. If we push them away, they won't go quiet. They will still be there. But they will operate from the unconscious, from the subconscious. And from the subconscious, we have no chance whatsoever to meet them. And they will kidnap us in fear or whatever. But if we invite them in, invite them for dialogue, explore together. Wow, how is it to be me? How is it to be you, dear fear? Power of naming again. We have a chance to start to get to know them and integrate them.
Yeah.
And the fear becomes less scary.
Yeah.
The other half, then, the inner voices. We've talked a lot about fear.
Yeah.
Voices of love.
The inner voices of love.
How do you recognize those? That came out like a silly question, but still.
Yeah, of course. If you hear or experience the inner voice of love, it's obvious that it's this beautiful, life-giving, encouraging voice, bringing you happiness, harmony, safety, allowing for you to be everything you are in any moment. But maybe that experience is what I experience the most, rather than the inner dialogue when it's loving. It's how I feel, how it makes me feel, or
feeling alive, feeling good, feeling great, feeling proud,
and just at ease, just being. How about you? How do you recognize your inner voices of love?
I recognize them as voices. I can pass a mirror and look myself in the mirror and, oh God, I'm handsome. Not every day, but most days. And that's the voice of love. Wow, I'm really good at this. I'm proud. I'm proud that I'm able to. So I do recognize them as voices, speaking with myself about things that I'm proud of, things that I'm good at, things that I love about myself. Things that I'm grateful for.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. So to summarize this, self-love, the inner voices. Be curious about your own inner dialogue. And how can you embrace and be with the critical voices? Give them love. And how can you embrace the loving voices? And let them get space.
Yeah. And explore those critical voices.
Yeah.
What are the fears underlying those voices, those messages? Maybe you're ready.
I'm not good enough. I'm not included. I don't know enough. Whatever. Maybe you're ready to face those.
Exactly.
Take another one?
Take another one.
Cool. The human brain. Interesting. How does the human brain fit into the states of being in love or fear? Do you want to start?
Yeah, or maybe you?
Left brain, right brain comes to mind. We're kind of grown up in a society where we are trained to analyze, to think, to learn from old mistakes, to see how can I improve what went wrong, how can I plan for that not to happen again. Like this analyzing of, I should have done, I should have been, I could have, from the past. And I want to protect myself, I want to avoid in the future. And that is typically left brain activity. Analyzing, planning, being in the past or being in the future. And that comes with a price. And that is shown. It comes with a price of increasing anxiety levels, increasing fear. Because we focus on the critical voices. And we focus on what's frightening there, a few steps ahead. And the counterpart to that is presence.
Being present with what is. Being in this moment with the feelings, emotions that arises in this moment. Being in what surrounds us, what we meet in this moment.
And being in presence, present-centered awareness, comes with a gift of increased well-being. The gift of seeing the world through the eyes of love. And that is fascinating.
Yeah.
I just heard about a book. I haven't read it, but the summary was a brain researcher that got a stroke with a very slow process, so she could monitor herself while having the stroke. And she realized it's in the left half of the brain, because I lose abilities. I lose my connection with letters and numbers. And it is really a critical state. But my experience of life is euphoria. And that awoke her interest. I'm having a stroke and I feel euphoria. So when her left brain took vacation, her right brain got in and got permission to create the life experience. And what she had was the present-centered awareness, the experience of life, not the analysis of past and future. And that brought her into a state of euphoria. So that could be next invitation. When are you and where are you?
Yeah. And I believe there's probably more gifts than just one gift of being in the present moment. Viewing the world through eyes of love is one huge gift. But also when being in the present moment, really meeting the fears that are awakened in this moment, instead of reinforcing them through our mind, our thoughts of what might happen or what has already happened and what that might mean to us or mean in the future. But just meeting whatever arises in this moment will help us integrate, heal, and increase our life experience. The richness of life by really being present to whatever arises. The love, the happiness, the joy, the harmony, the peace, and the fear, the sadness, the anger.
I love how you widen the scope. It's not either or. It's not simply one thing or another.
No,
that's beautiful.
It usually isn't.
It usually isn't. It never is. Cool.
Yeah. So that's the human brain.
Yeah. So pay attention to where are you? When are you? Are you in the past, or in the future, or at some place else? Well, that might be an invitation to move yourself to the present. Okay, what is actually going on right here, right now? Paying attention to that. That's a way to experience life.
Yeah. That makes me curious.
Cool.
If I'm in a state of fear, is it easier for me to get away from the present moment, to worry about the future, or criticize or analyze from fear what happened before? Am I in a state of love? Is it easier to just be in this moment, embracing what is?
My own experience is absolutely yes. When I'm in a state of fear, triggered, so easily I get drawn to the past or the future, and really viewing the world through the eyes of fear, looking for the threats, the fearful elements, the frightening nature of stuff. Almost like a reinforcing loop. What I usually do, not always, what I usually try to do is to pause. To pause. If I need to, I get away from people and I really meet what's going on. Use my brilliant brain. We all have brilliant brains, not only, it's not bragging. Use this brilliant, magnificent thing up here called the brain and put the attention inward. okay, what's creating this state of fear? And really being with and exploring that sensation, that feeling. And it's fascinating how it, in a matter of minutes, often fades and transforms into something else when it gets space. And every time we do that, when we leave the feeling, when we pay attention to the feeling, when we let it be, it transforms. And every time we do that, it heals. Something within heals. So that's an invitation to try. How about yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I think just the inquiry, the question. Am I in a state of love or a state of fear?
Yeah.
Am I acting out of love or out of fear? Am I viewing the world through eyes of fear or through eyes of love?
Yeah.
Really can shift my experience.
If you get aware.
If I get aware.
Wow, I'm acting from a state of fear.
Yeah, and maybe
that awareness can help you shift.
Yeah, or even maybe that will take me out of the thought loop, reinforcing that state of fear, bringing my awareness to the future or to what already happened, to the past. And okay, I'm in a state of fear. What's inside? State of fear. And maybe that is a way for me to get out of my thoughts and into the body. And
make
find
it sound very easy, is it? Because I can experience a lot of resistance. Am I in a state of fear? Oh no, I'm not, because I don't want to.
Yeah.
Like the internal resistance of admitting to myself that I actually am in a state of fear. How do you experience that?
I actually think I'm okay with being in fear,
cool.
accepting that state of being in fear.
Yeah. So embracing the fear. Embracing fear is not fearful.
Yeah.
Fear is not something that we should run from. Quite the opposite. Fear, maybe something knocking on your door saying, hey, I'm here. I'm ready to meet you. And in that meeting, we can get along.
Yeah.
I'm ready to be healed.
Yeah, and for me it's like when I realize that I'm in fear, that I'm experiencing fear, it's almost easier to love myself.
Ah, wow.
Yeah, because I'm just afraid, I'm just scared.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to hold myself in that.
Yeah.
That awakens my sense of love.
You have to view that, I am not a bad person. I'm just scared.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Another card?
Yeah.
Presence. Yeah, we kind of touched upon that.
Yes.
Quite a lot.
Quite a lot, actually.
What strikes me, and it's a small detour perhaps, but the presence or the absence of love. I heard a quote, a beautiful quote. I think her name was Beth. It doesn't matter. There's really only one problem in the world. Either you're in a state of love, you're in the presence of love, and if so, there's no problem, because that will enable meetings, connection, dialogue. Or you're in the absence of love, and every problem we see in the world stem from the absence of love. Because in the absence of love, we act more or less from fear. And then it gets important to me to to protect myself, to fight you because I want what you have, or I want to keep what I have. And I see you through the eyes of fear. And then you become a potential threat, potential enemy. But if I see you through the eyes of love, and if you meet me the same way, no problems exist that we cannot solve together. And the expert-minded listener might say, well, that's not true. Maybe not. But if you hold it as an option, as a possibility, just explore what opens. So that was what came up for me.
Yeah,
presence of love or absence of love.
Of love. Yeah.
Does that spark something?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I'm shifting that around as in the dialogue last week that you mentioned before, our dialogue, where I was viewing the world through the eyes of fear. In that case, viewing the world, meeting the world through fear, everything becomes a problem. Right? You share your experience, your perspectives, you do it in a loving and kind, compassionate way, and still there are problems with this. Because they are received from a state of fear.
A challenging space.
Yes.
But in that state, being in a state of love, using also that situation to meet myself, that was a beautiful exploration. Wow, when I'm met like this, when I'm approached from fear, what is triggered in me? What do I meet in myself? So we both made beautiful discoveries from that.
Yes.
What comes to mind here is the Infinite Eight model.
Yeah.
Simple model, standing eight. Probably you can see it on the graphic. When we get in touch with our longing, our aspiration, the upper part of the eight, we will meet fear. Fear or shadow as unaware stuff that we hold, that we carry. We will meet and discover shadow and meet fear that is ready to be met, ready to be healed and integrated, for us to be able to embrace and grow in line with our longing. And I think that is a beautiful thing to have in mind.
Yeah.
Fear is showing as a way for us to explore and grow our longing. And that for me makes fear less fearful.
Yes. And that is probably part of my experience of when realizing I'm only afraid, I'm only scared. It's easy for me to love myself and embrace myself in that. Because this is something vulnerable, showing that is ready to be met, held, integrated, loved. Bringing healing. That's beautiful.
It is, isn't it? It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So maybe if we would summarize love and fear as two states of being. Listen to and pay attention to your inner voices, your inner dialogue, your critical voices. What fear lies underneath? And how can you meet and embrace that fear? And your loving inner dialogue. How can you let that take space? And actually dare to pay attention to those voices. Presence.
Presence of love or absence of love. And also the presence as our own life experience. And maybe we should rewrite that card. The brilliant human brain. That really can help us explore and get in touch with naming what's going on inside. But also to let the part of us that is present in this moment take space.
And presence in this moment. When are you and where are you? As a clue to, am I present? Or am I troubled by the past or the future? And lastly, perhaps the Infinite Eight.
Getting in touch with our longing, our aspirations will reveal the fear, the resistance, the shadow that is ready to be met, held, loved, integrated, and healed. And that will open up for expansion, growth, and that longing.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you.